Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. And let's start with a little warm-up story. A little story about petty greed and what that greed can lead to. Dumb landlord refuses to fix a leak. But before we start, if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. I wouldn't say our landlord is malicious, just dumb and lazy. I live in a condo tower where each unit is privately owned, and I rent from the owner of one suite. Recently, my bathtub faucet developed a small leak. I emailed my landlord about it, and he ignored it. A couple days later, it had gotten bigger, so I emailed again. No reply. Third time. Now it's a constant running stream of hot water. I texted, and he said he isn't going to fix it. All right, Buster, have it your way. So I let it fester, and it keeps getting worse and worse. 2 weeks in, I get an urgent call from the condo board that they need emergency access to my suite because a leak from my suite is coming onto the floor below and damaging several areas. Of course, I say yes, and they dispatch a plumber for the leak and numerous contractors to repair the rooms below that have been damaged. Eventually, my landlord gets the bill, $8,000 from the condo board for the repairs, and finally emails me in a tantrum asking what this bill is for. So I reply, forwarding him the original emails and text saying he was not going to fix it. I never heard back. Got what he deserved, but I'm afraid your rent's about to go up. And our second story for today. Family assumes my driveway is a free parking spot. On my tablet, so hope this turns out okay. This happened to me a few years ago. I'd recently moved to the north of Scotland where I live now and was staying with my mom and stepdad while getting a house sorted. They went away on holiday for a fortnight, so missed all the fun. I came home from work one afternoon, started at 4 o'clock and finished at 13:30 to find a car blocking the driveway into my house. Having a small car, I parked at the top of the drive, blocking them in. My parents live out in the sticks on a single-track road, so I couldn't leave my car where it was because I would have been blocking the road. After an hour, I saw someone approaching the drive and taking pictures of my car. I went out and confronted them, and the conversation went like this. Me: why are you taking pictures of my car? EP: because you parked illegally and blocked my car in. I'm going to call the police if you don't move your car from my neighbor's drive. Me: this is clearly my parents' drive. Did you not think it was odd to have to walk out of someone's garden to get into a neighbor's? Well, it wasn't very clear, so can you move so I can get out? So I get my keys and move, then park my car and think nothing of it. Next morning I leave for work and once again find the same car parked in my parents' drive. This time I go knock on my neighbor's door and ask him to get his friend to shift it, only for my neighbor to ask, "What friend?" I pointed to the car and told him what had happened yesterday. Turns out the prat wasn't his friend at all, but liked to walk around the woodland path near our houses. 20 minutes later he finally appears, smirks, and moves before saying, "I'll be parked here tomorrow, too." So once again, I go to work at stupid o'clock, and when I get back, lo and behold, the prat is parked there again. This time I decided to teach him a lesson. I had 2 days off, so I went to the shops and got some shopping and a rather large amount of alcohol, Strongbow and Savannah dry cider if you're interested. Got home, parked as close to his car as I could, making sure I was safely off the road. I went inside, made some dinner, and started drinking. About an hour later, there's a banging on the door. Me: yes. EP: move your car. It's blocking me in, and my family wants to go home. I look out, and there's his rather embarrassed-looking family sitting in their car. Me: sorry, can't, as I took another drink from my cider. Been drinking for a couple hours, probably over the limit, so I don't want to risk it. What? Why are you drinking when you knew I'd be wanting to move my car? I'm off for the next 2 days, so I fancied a drink. I'm calling the effing police. You do that. Before shutting the door and popping into the lounge to watch TV while also watching them through the window. About 2 hours, apparently the police had trouble finding my house, LOL. Later, the police arrive and speak to EP before they knock on my door. Yes, officers, how can I help? Why are you stopping EP from leaving? So I began to explain the events of the previous days and mentioned how I told him he couldn't park there. I also explained that I'd been drinking, was probably over the limit, so I couldn't risk moving my car. The police officers agreed that I was correct to not drive while intoxicated. They then asked what insurance I had. I pointed out that it was named driver only, basically means that only people whose name is on the insurance can drive my car, so they couldn't move it for me. Come on, just make him move his car. The police officer says, just going to get the breathalyzer. Blow into this, please. Yeah, you're about 2 times the legal limit, so I'm sorry, but you can't move your car. The police officer says, sorry, but he's over the limit. You'll have to leave your car here and come back tomorrow. What? But how are we meant to get home? Me. Bus stop about 2 miles down the road. You'll get the bus to insert city at this time or insert town at this time. But the bus doesn't go anywhere near where we live. We can call you a taxi, the police say, if you want, but you'll need to pay for it. He did this deliberately. Yup, LOL. Fast forward to the next day when the police return with him in their car, and before they asked me to move my car, they decided to have some fun. Police Officer 1, we just want to check you with the breathalyzer again. Big deep breath. EP looking more and more worried. You're fine, Police Officer 2 says. You can move your car, please. Me. Of course, officers. Police Officer 1 to EP, don't park your car here again. EP couldn't even look at me, just got in his car and drove off. Later that day, I decided to build a gate for my parents. Boyfriend of the Year. So this didn't happen to me, but I got to witness everything firsthand. I used to work in car sales at a car dealership, and my coworker had the pleasure of meeting this couple. They walk in, coworker greets them, and right off the bat, the boyfriend is rude. They're looking for a new car for her, and he's there to make sure she doesn't get ripped off. They look at a few cars and eventually settle on one she likes. Everything is going all right, and she has a trade-in vehicle that needs to get appraised. The boyfriend says that they won't take anything less than $5,000 for it. Manager inspects and drives the trade-in, then sends my coworker over with the paperwork and numbers for everything. Good news, guys. The numbers came back great. Your car's actually worth more than you thought, and we can offer you $7,000 for the trade-in. Here's the cost of the new car minus the value of your trade-in, and boyfriend stops him right there and says, "This is bullcrap." He looks at his girlfriend and goes, "This place is ripping you off. There's no way that car's worth $7,000. They're doing something shady. We shouldn't accept this deal." My coworker has no idea how to respond to this, so he just sits there bewildered while these two are getting ready to walk out. The manager sees them getting up and comes to take a turn. Boyfriend tells the manager they're leaving because they're getting ripped off, explains there's no way in hell that car was worth $7,000, and that he doesn't trust the dealership anymore. My manager is clearly surprised, but handled it like a champ. He said, "May I see the numbers we gave you? There may be a mistake." He looks over the paper briefly and said, "Oh, I apologize for the miscommunication. This trade value was for another unit I was appraising." It wasn't. The actual value of the car is $4,750, but if we can make a deal today, I'll go ahead and bump it up to $5,000 for the sake of making you happy. Moron boyfriend decides this is a great deal now, and they end up purchasing the car for $2,000 more than before. We laughed about this for the next couple of years until I left the business. Give me your name right now. You're in big trouble, mister. When I was 20, I was going through my studies, and to make it possible, I used to work often in my father's small construction business, around 40 employees. I've been working there all summer since I was 16, doing various jobs like warehouse clerk, plumber, accounting, etc. At the time, I was managing HR, contracts, and part-time employees and such, and was often working after office hours, since I needed to attend class during the day 3 days a week. One day at 8 p.m., I get a call from one of our customers asking details about a work site and employees working there. I politely decline, saying I'm not allowed to give him that information since I'm only working part-time, don't know him, and so can't confirm his identity. I also remind him that the office is currently closed and advise him to call back the next day during work hours when a manager can give him the information. He then immediately gets angry. "Listen here, I know the owner of this company personally. I need this information and I want it right now." I respond, "Well, if you know him, then I'm sure he'll gladly respond if you call him on his personal phone." Apparently that was not what he wanted to hear as he went berserk on me. I'll spare you the all caps, but at this point he was basically shouting at me. "How dare you speak to me like that? Give me your name right now. You're in big trouble, mister. I'll get you fired for that." "Sure, write it down." I give him my name, which is the same as my father's. Okay, wait. Oh, as in, yes, I'm his son. Don't let that stop you, though. Turns out he was who he said he was, and we stopped working with him. Oh, I must paint my garage? Sure thing. This was back in the early 90s. The HOA was created years after the neighborhood had been established. A friend of mine lived in a pretty big neighborhood with a pretty strict HOA. He was the first house at the bottom of the hill that you saw when you drive in. He asked and was allowed to add a garage onto his house and did so, siding it with cedar planks. It looked great. His HOA disagreed and told him the bylaws state all exposed walls must be painted. Tried to appeal but was shot down unanimously. So he checked the bylaws further and found that while it was stated that all exposed walls must be painted, there was absolutely no mention of any color restrictions. By the time he was done, each plank was a different primary color, and there was nothing they could do about it. They were furious with him, and he laughed his butt off. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video to the end, and I'll see you in the next one.